have a friend named Bubbles.
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 Bubbles. Bubbles!
Yes, folks, here he is, Bubbles. My oldest continuous friend, Charlie Bubbles Burns, really began my fascination with cinema in 4th grade. As 10-year-olds hang out after school, Bubbles asked me about my favorite movie. Spider-Man 3, I enthusiastically responded.
Give me rent.
You'll get your rent when you fix this damn door!
While I don't remember exactly what he said next, as 4th graders, 10-year-olds hanging out after school, he said,
Spider-Man 3 is barely a movie at all. It's just maximalist fanfare and messy melodrama. It's just a stupid popcorn flick.
Before this comment, all I knew was that I enjoyed Tobey Maguire's emotional performance, that the action sequences looked cool, and that the movie had provided entertainment as it washed over me. Bubbles' comment, and all of its absurd pretentiousness, opened my eyes to the possibility that movies could make sense of life's complexities. Movies could not only entertain, but also could be analyzed and critiqued for their mise-en-scène,
Couple hours, right?
Yeah, you got the full 10?
sound design, and camera work. Bubbles' comment actually lit my fire to get into movies and to prove this funny-looking blonde kid that I also knew stuff about things.
That's all I needed.
As a 4th grader, Bubbles continued in his knowing and confident manner.
If you really want to watch a good movie, you should really check out Spider-Man 2.
Hi.
This is all to say, Bubbles has many unique and amazing takes, but sometimes I find myself befuddled with his particular movie preferences. One of his oddest takes is his opinion surrounding the very odd character of Tom Cruise.
Being Scientologist, you look at someone and you know absolutely that you can help them.
Simply put, Bubbles loves Tom Cruise. In Bubbles' own words,
Tom Cruise is the man. He carries a ruthless intensity with him in every role he takes. The fact of the matter is that his recent tentpoles are some of the better blockbusters to come out of Hollywood in an increasingly dire era, and he's shown a commitment to more analog modes of action filmmaking that I find endlessly appealing. When Bubbles refers to Hollywood in an increasingly dire era, he's referring to a blockbuster slate almost exclusively dependent on pre-existing intellectual property, cobbled together with uninspired plots and lots and lots and lots of computer-generated images, or CGI. Swimming upstream against this flood of studio hack projects is Bubbles' hero, Tom Cruise. I interpret Bubbles' comment that Cruise has a, quote, commitment to more analog modes of action filmmaking, unquote, as reflecting Cruise's desire to do his own stunts, fly real planes, and generally to avoid the supposed falsities of CGI action sequences. Cruise's predilection towards danger and supposed authenticity has been documented over and over and over to much commercial success. Cruise's devotion to his own stunts is extraordinary in that it harkens back to a previous era of Hollywood production. In an area much before CGI or elaborate stunt doubles, when the moving image itself was in its infancy as a commercial and artistic venture. Buster Keaton, master of the slapstick gag in the early days of film, committed himself to the, quote, near-miss gag. In William O. Huey Jr.'s essay, he identifies the near-miss gag as serving two broader purposes. The first, the clown never dies. Clowns in a comedic context work on a destruction and revival boom and bust cycle, according to Huey. If Keaton were to die, it would remove the fantastical element of the clown. It would bring the myth of the clown as an ultimately indomitable figure too close to the corporeal reality of human existence. It would make the clown too real. The second purpose of the near-miss gag is the exact opposite. Audiences expected realism. Even in Keaton's time, he could have produced gags that relied less on his own body and more on elaborate sets. But Keaton knew that to foster a certain sense of fantastical movie magic, he needed to create images that the audience could identify as part of the real world that they actually inhabited.
Even today, his stunts stand out as fantastic or remote from reality precisely because they exist so firmly in reality. I believe that Tom Cruise, in postmodernist fashion, has used the giant mega blockbusters he stars in as a launching pad to recreate the movie magic of Buster Keaton-esque stunts. I see Tom Cruise's entire modern brand as a reinterpretation of a prior era of film. It is pastiche incarnate. In Frederick Jameson's analysis of postmodernism, pastiche refers to the imitation of a peculiar or unique style, the wearing of a stylistic mask, speech in a dead language. But it is a neutral practice without such mimicry, without parody's ulterior motive, without the satirical impulse. Cruise's devotion to his own stunts has no element of parody or irony. Instead, his escapades are seen as male bravado, a commitment to excellence and outright insanity. Cruise knows his persona has been recontextualized in the modern zeitgeist in light of his eccentricities. He has leaned into the image of himself as a madman and reinvented himself as an artist committed beyond rationality to authenticity and excellence. In this way, he has reconfigured Keaton's two-part commitment. The Cruise version would go as follows. 1. The action hero never dies. And 2. The audience still expects realism. The hero can never die because that would reduce Cruise's mythic status. To adhere to the second command to realism, Cruise hasn't just flown fighter jets, climbed the Burj Khalifa, and put his body on the line. He has offered himself up as a tool of modern propaganda. Mission Impossible spy sequences might seem more realistic than other spy flicks precisely because the CIA hired a former spy named Chase Brandon to work directly with producers. After the September 11th attacks, 2001, while producing Mission Impossible 3, Cruise actually met with CIA officials directly because he felt it was, quote, important for Hollywood to help put the U.S. and government agencies in a good light. The CIA wasn't the only agency to leverage Cruise's desire for authenticity. In exchange for use of military-grade planes and weapons in Top Gun, Maverick, the Pentagon had direct editorial control of the script. Depictions of war crimes, torture, security of the nuclear arsenal, veteran suicide, sexual assault, and racism in the ranks are absolutely prohibited in any Hollywood movie hoping to achieve Pentagon approval. The decision to star in morally unambiguous movies about the military or the CIA in order to gain access comes at a real cost. His movies have also directly helped to reinvigorate the military-industrial Hollywood complex. A quick look at a list of American movies explicitly co-scripted by the Department of Defense shows a huge uptick following 1986's Top Gun. Conclusion. As pastiche-ridden as it might be, I actually sort of agree with Bubbles' point. Cruise's stunts do look more real. It does help me stay grounded in the action sequences of the movie. If only it didn't involve such a tight collaboration with some of the world's most powerful organizations. I believe Cruise's depiction of the CIA, Navy, or even Saudi skyscrapers constitutes propaganda, not because I believe any of those entities are completely and utterly evil, but because they would not allow Cruise access to their vast means unless he categorically promised to portray them in a glowing, uncomplicated light. And Cruise needs to have access because the clown never dies, and the audience expected realism.
Bring you the most immersive, authentic, and entertaining cinematic experience. There's real jets, real popcorn, on the biggest screens exclusively and only in the theaters. So I hope you enjoy.